100 devoted Buddhist monks, deeply rooted in centuries-old traditions, found their faith shaken by a discovery so shocking that they abandoned it overnight. What they witnessed was undeniable, leaving them no choice but to embrace Islam. In a single moment, their spiritual path was rewritten, challenging everything they once believed about destiny, truth, and the unseen. In the mist-shrouded mountains of northern Thailand stood a secluded village where Buddhism had flourished for generations. Every family took pride in having at least one son ordained as a monk, and the village was renowned for its strict adherence to Buddhist principles. At the entrance to this sacred haven, a weathered sign declared, "No Muslims allowed." The elders maintained that this rule protected their traditions from outside influence. Young Somchai, a 16-year-old novice monk, often found himself staring at this sign, wondering about the people it kept away. "Why are Muslims forbidden here?" he asked his fellow novices during their evening meditation break. The question sparked hushed conversations among the younger monks who had never ventured beyond their mountain sanctuary. Their whispers reached Ajahn Thavern, the monastery's eldest and most revered monk. His face hardened as he approached. "Muslims follow teachings that contradict everything we believe," he explained sternly. "They speak of a single creator deity when we know life is an endless cycle. My grandfather once allowed a Muslim trader to stay overnight. By morning, 5 families had abandoned our ways. They possess words that bewitch the mind and corrupt the soul." The young monks listened in fearful silence, but Somchai's curiosity only deepened. What power could these words possibly hold? At night, when the monastery fell silent, Somchai would gaze at the stars through his window, questioning the Buddhist teachings that had shaped his life. If existence was merely an endless cycle of rebirth, what purpose did it serve? If there was no creator, how did the universe come into perfect order? These questions haunted him, though he dared not speak them aloud. Weeks later, Ajahn Panya, a 92-year-old monk revered for his wisdom, fell gravely ill. According to ancient Buddhist remedies, only a rare herb found in the distant city could restore his health. Despite never having left the village, Somchai was chosen to accompany the ailing monk on this crucial journey. The bustling city overwhelmed Somchai's senses. The crowds, the noise, the endless variety of people living harmoniously despite their differences. While Ajahn Panya haggled with an herb merchant, Somchai wandered toward a bookstall, drawn by colorful covers and unfamiliar scripts. Suddenly, a melodious call echoed through the air. "Allahu Akbar." The sound pierced Somchai's heart like nothing he had ever experienced. Without thinking, he followed the sound to its source, a modest mosque where people gathered in perfect rows, moving in synchronized prostration. "What form of meditation is this?" Somchai whispered, mesmerized by the peaceful unity before him. A kind-faced man noticed his fascination. "This is Salah, our prayer to Allah, creator of all things. Would you like to know more about it?" Somchai's teachings warned against such encounters, but something in the man's gentle demeanor calmed his fears. "We are taught that Muslims use sorcery to convert others," he admitted hesitantly. The man smiled. "The only magic in Islam is the truth it carries." Here, he handed Somchai a small book. "Read this with an open heart, and you will find answers, not spells." Concealing the book beneath his robes, Somchai rejoined Ajahn Panya. On the return journey, while the elderly monk slept, Somchai cautiously opened the book titled Understanding Islam. Each page revealed concepts both foreign and strangely familiar: the oneness of Allah, the purpose of creation, the final judgment. These teachings provided clarity to questions that Buddhism had left unanswered in Somchai's mind. Back at the monastery, Somchai shared his discovery with 4 trusted friends. Night after night, they gathered secretly to read the Islamic texts. Buddhism teaches us to find peace within ourselves, Somchai reflected, but Islam connects us to something greater, a divine purpose. As their studies deepened, an unusual drought struck the region. For 3 months, not a drop of rain fell. Crops withered in the fields, and the village's water supply dwindled dangerously. The senior monks organized elaborate ceremonies, chanting day and night for Buddha's intervention, but the skies remained clear and merciless. Somchai and his friends continued their secret study of the Quran, finding comfort in verses about Allah's mercy and providence. One night, they came across Surah Ar-Ra'd, which spoke of rain as a sign of divine blessing. Moved by these words, they ventured to a secluded clearing in the forest and performed the Islamic prayer for rain, Salat al-Istisqa, as described in their books. "We have nothing to lose," Somchai told his companions. "If Allah is truly the creator of all things, perhaps He will answer our sincere prayers." The following morning, clouds gathered over the parched village for the first time in months. By midday, gentle rain began to fall, continuing steadily for 3 days, replenishing the fields and reservoirs. The villagers rejoiced, attributing this blessing to their Buddhist rituals, but Somchai and his friends exchanged knowing glances. This coincidence deepened their faith and emboldened their resolve to learn more about Islam. Their clandestine studies continued for months until one evening, Ajahn Wikai, a middle-aged monk known for his strict enforcement of rules, discovered them reading Quranic verses. Instead of reporting them immediately, curiosity compelled him to ask, "What is it about these teachings that captivates you so?" Somchai offered him the Quran. "Read just 1 chapter, venerable teacher. If you find nothing of value, we will accept whatever punishment you decree." To everyone's surprise, Ajahn Wikai agreed. The following day, instead of condemnation, he returned with questions. "These words, they speak directly to the soul. How can this be?" "We believe it is because they come from the Creator Himself," Somchai explained. "The Quran claims to be Allah's direct speech, preserved perfectly since it was revealed." Intrigued, Ajahn Wikai began joining their secret gatherings. His participation lent legitimacy to their explorations and soon attracted other monks seeking deeper understanding. They discussed philosophical questions that had long troubled them. Why do we exist? What happens after death? What is the purpose of suffering? Islam offered perspectives that resonated deeply with them, that life was a test, that good and evil had meaning, that human existence was no accident but a divine plan. These concepts filled gaps that decades of Buddhist practice had left empty. Over the following weeks, more monks joined their discussions. Word spread throughout the monastery, reaching even the most dedicated Buddhist practitioners. Some reacted with anger, others with intrigue. The village became divided between those clinging to tradition and those drawn to the new teachings. When Ajahn Thavorn finally learned of these developments, he was furious. "Somchai has betrayed our ways. He must be expelled from the monastery." But before action could be taken, an extraordinary event occurred that would transform the entire village. During the peak of monsoon season, unprecedented rains caused a massive landslide threatening to destroy the village. As panic spread, Somchai and his friends, now 40 in number and secretly practicing Muslims, gathered in the main hall and began reciting verses from Surah Al-Mulk from the Quran. As they recited, witnesses described seeing a soft light emanating from the Quranic text, spreading upward toward the heavens. Within moments, the rain ceased and the earth stabilized. The landslide halted mere meters from the first houses. Ajahn Thavorn, who had witnessed everything, approached Somchai with trembling hands. "What prayer has such power?" he asked. "It is not the prayer that has power," Somchai replied gently. "It is the one to whom we pray." That night, Ajahn Thavorn requested to read the Quran himself. For 7 days he secluded himself in meditation. When he emerged, his countenance had completely changed. "For 80 years, I have sought enlightenment through self-discipline," he announced to the gathered villagers. "Yet in 1 week of reading the Quran, I have found more clarity than in all my decades of meditation." With tears streaming down his weathered face, the elderly monk pronounced the Shahada. "I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger." Yet not everyone accepted this change. A significant faction led by Ajahn Kitty, a respected elder who had trained under the same master as Thavorn, opposed the growing influence of Islam. "This is a betrayal of our ancestors and our traditions," he declared. "These foreign ideas have no place in our sacred village." The tension escalated when Kitty and his followers attempted to burn the Islamic books that had been collected by the converts. As they gathered in the monastery courtyard, preparing a bonfire, a freak storm erupted directly above them. Lightning struck a nearby tree, splitting it perfectly in half. One side fell harmlessly to the ground, while the other crashed down, narrowly missing the gathered monks, but destroying the unlit pyre of books. The incident divided the village further, with many seeing it as a divine warning, while others dismissed it as coincidence. Families were torn apart as fathers and sons. Brothers and uncles found themselves on opposite sides of the growing ideological divide. It was during this time of turmoil that a famous Buddhist scholar, Ajahn Mahapanya, known throughout Thailand for his debates against other religions, arrived at the village. He had heard rumors of the mass conversion and came to restore reason to the misguided monks. A public debate was arranged in the monastery's main hall. Hundreds gathered to witness the confrontation between Mahapanya and Somchai, now the unofficial leader of the Muslim converts. The debate lasted from sunrise to sunset, covering topics from the nature of existence to the purpose of worship, from moral frameworks to the concept of divinity. To everyone's astonishment, the renowned scholar found himself struggling to counter Somchai's simple but profound explanations of Islamic principles. When Mahapanya cited Buddhist texts, Somchai respectfully acknowledged their wisdom, but demonstrated how the Quran addressed the same concepts with greater clarity and purpose. The defining moment came when Mahapanya challenged, "If your Allah is real, why doesn't he reveal himself directly instead of speaking through a book?" Somchai smiled and replied, "When a king sends a sealed letter, do wise ministers demand the king appear in person before accepting his commands?" The Quran bears the signature of its author in every verse. Its eloquence, its internal consistency, its scientific accuracy, and its power to transform hearts are all proofs of its divine origin. His conversion sparked a remarkable transformation. Within months, over 100 monks and many villagers embraced Islam. The monastery became a masjid, and Islamic scholars were invited to teach proper practices. News of this mass conversion spread across Thailand and beyond, captivating social media audiences worldwide. The village that once forbade Muslims now welcomed visitors seeking to understand their journey. The most profound change, however, occurred within the community itself. The former monks, once isolated from society in pursuit of personal enlightenment, now engaged actively with neighboring villages, establishing schools, digging wells, and caring for orphans and widows, putting into practice the Islamic teachings of service to humanity. The transformation caught the attention of government officials concerned about preserving Thailand's Buddhist heritage. They sent representatives to investigate, expecting to find evidence of foreign manipulation or financial incentives behind the conversion. Instead, they found a community genuinely transformed by conviction, living harmoniously and contributing positively to the region. When asked by a skeptical official what had convinced him to abandon Buddhism after 60 years of dedicated practice, Ajahn Thavern, now known as Abdullah, replied, "Buddhism taught me to empty myself to find peace. Islam filled that emptiness with purpose. In seeking escape from suffering, I found instead a reason for living." 5 years after Somchai's fateful journey to the city, the village hosted an international gathering of converts to Islam from various religious backgrounds. Scholars, journalists, and curious observers came to witness the community that had become known as the Miracle Village. During this gathering, a violent earthquake shook the region, causing widespread damage to surrounding areas. Yet remarkably, not a single structure in the village suffered significant damage. Engineers who later surveyed the area were baffled, noting that by all scientific measures, the village should have been destroyed given its location near the earthquake's epicenter. This incident further cemented the villagers' belief in divine protection and attracted even more interest in their story. Somchai, now known as Ibrahim, often reflected on his path. "Allah guides whom He wills," he would say, recalling how a simple book had led to the transformation of an entire community. The miracle wasn't in spectacular displays, but in how the Quran spoke directly to our hearts, answering questions we didn't even know we had. Today, the sign at the village entrance has been replaced. Where it once warned Muslims away, it now carries a verse from the Quran. "And hold firmly to the rope of Allah altogether, and do not become divided." The village stands as testament to the power of divine guidance, once a bastion of Buddhism, now a beacon of Islamic faith, where the call to prayer echoes through the same mountains that once heard only the chants of Buddhist monks. Visitors to the village often ask Ibrahim if he regrets abandoning the traditions of his ancestors. His answer never varies. "We did not abandon our search for truth. We merely found it in an unexpected place. The journey matters less than the destination."